You know that the San Francisco 49ers have the Offensive Player of the Year nearing a return, but an insider report today spelled even more good news. Plus, part of what he said is kind of weird. Let's talk about it. If you're new here, I'm Nate. Love talking about the 49ers. Please consider a like and sub. I very much appreciate it. So Dan Graziano had a fascinating take on Christian McCaffrey. And part of it is great news, for sure. And we're going to get to that for sure. And another part of it, I guess it's weird. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like kind of good and kind of bad. And I don't really know how we should feel about it. And that's where you come in. You're going to be commenting today. Hopefully, you'll consider commenting what you think about whether or not this is good or bad news. I'm excited to read your takes, though, on that one for sure. Let's get to the gist of what he said to start. So Dan Graziano believes Christian McCaffrey will hit the ground running with no limitations and suggests CMC should start in your fantasy league. Now, that starts off feeling like really good news. Joke's on me. My wife is the one who got Christian McCaffrey because I love her dearly. Maybe that didn't go off so well with the IR thing. But anyway, if Christian McCaffrey plays for the 49ers this week, start him without any reservations. Sometimes you want to wait a week when a guy comes off an injury after not playing in a while. But Kyle Shanahan's history with McCaffrey tells us that if his star running back is available, he is basically going to get all of the backfield work. The Niners wouldn't bring McCaffrey back from Achilles tendonitis if they weren't sure he could handle his normal workload. Also, the Buccaneers are allowing the 5th most fantasy points per game to running backs and 3rd most over the past 4 weeks. So my question to you, and I'm genuinely please consider commenting below on this, because I'm kind of stuck on it. I'm calling it weird news because it's somewhere in between good and bad, and I'm not 100% sure how to feel about it. On one hand, it feels like great news because Dan Graziano, I appreciate his takes. He's a pretty knowledgeable dude, and he's telling me what my gut would say based on what we've seen and experienced with Kyle Shanahan. When he's healthy, he plays. And Graziano's saying that McCaffrey's going to hit the ground with no limitations. In other words, when he's ready, he's ready. He's 100%. Boom, he's in. The thing I don't like about that is what I and many people have been saying in communities like on X and YouTube and whatever. I feel like it is not the right move. Don't get me wrong. As a head coach, as an offensive guy, nobody could blame Kyle Shanahan for playing the Offensive Player of the Year, right? You can't blame them for that because it's crazy to blame somebody for playing potentially, statistically the most valuable player on this offense. It's crazy to think that way. But at the same time, it's crazy to also treat this situation like it is, nothing's changed. And we're just back to where we always were before. Because the reality is, you put this guy through a lot of touches in Carolina, he gets injured. You put this guy through a lot, and when I'm talking about a lot, I mean, we're talking about a massive amount of touches that many teams don't put one guy through that many touches in general. So most teams don't. So, I mean, we're talking about a mountain of touches, but still, you put a mountain of touches on him, a guy is going to break down. The running back position, historically, you just break down. We've gone through that. There's other videos out there. You can watch those ones. I'm not going to go into the weeds on that one. There are very few guys, Adrian Peterson comes to mind, that have been able to come back from major injuries like ACL and have been able to have sustainable back-to-back seasons after having Offensive Player of the Year performances. There are just very few examples of that taking place in history. So, no, I'm not surprised that Christian McCaffrey ended up getting a little injured. And I say a little because I do think tendonitis is more on the little side. It just so happens that the position he plays, especially, is that's the worst, not worst injury. It's one of the worst possible injuries the guy could get. Of course, snapping your Achilles would be the deal breaker there. You know. So the deal is this. Let me know what you think in the comments. I look forward to joining you there. My take is a perfect scenario for me is Christian McCaffrey goes out there and at most gets 50% of the snaps. At most. Seriously. I'm dead serious about that. Why would we put him out there in a game that we should be good enough to win without him on the field? If he doesn't play, we should still win this game. There are a lot of things shaping up. Not saying that they're not a tough team. They are. But there are a lot of things that are factoring into this that the 49ers should win this game. Namely, their lack of options at wide receiver and those injuries. Number two, their rest disadvantage, our rest advantage, which we haven't had much this season. Us coming off of a bye, Shanahan after a bye. There's a lot of reasons to believe that this is a good situation. They have a shorter week because of the Monday night game, and it's a morning game, so like they didn't even get the normal day to get ready. There's a lot of reasons, and the 49ers are going to be ready to go for this game, and I'm hyped about it. But if it were me, and I could write the script for Kyle Shanahan, I would say set your limits, and that's it. Like, he gets half the snaps, and that's it. You pick the number, and that's what you're going to do. Because you have Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerrero who are going out there, and they're doing a good job this season. They can do a good job. I know, not the same threat. But at the end of the day, the bottom of the line, this is what it always comes down to. It's a third down. Who do you want out there? Christian McCaffrey. It's a fourth and short. You're going for it on fourth down. Who do you want out there? Christian McCaffrey. You're in the red zone. Who do you want out there? Christian McCaffrey. And it's not like you can just say, well, he's on the sideline until third down. He's on the sideline until fourth down and short. He's on the sideline until red zone situations. That doesn't work that way, right? But yes, he is a threat. Yes, it is awesome for the playbook. Yes, it is awesome for playing against, having defenses to have to scheme against that extra threat. I'm a fan of it, of course. I want to see the guy play. I'm a little like, let's not rush him back so fast that we do anything stupid, Like, let's just be smart about it. But I look forward to seeing your comments on this one. The rest of the article had some good stuff in there I wanted to also share with you. We don't have evidence of McCaffrey under Shanahan coming off a severe injury. When McCaffrey was available, he was the offense. If you remember how heavy his workload was during the first month of the regular season last year, 108 touches through 4 games, then you know how eager Shanahan is to use CMC early and often. Agree, 100%. This is what I'm saying. It lines up. Graziano's not crazy for saying this, but man, I hope this... Personally, I hope this is different. I look forward to seeing your thoughts in the comment section below. Tampa Bay ranks 10th defensively in schedule-adjusted efficiency against the run, but ranks 23rd in the same trick when it comes to running backs against the pass. The Buccaneers allow the 4th most yardage to running backs through the air. And that's why I said this is good news, because it's a good reminder of the team that you're playing and the threat that is Christian McCaffrey. And could be Jordan Mason, Isaac Guerrero, Deebo Samuel. A lot of other guys can do that. No one's doing it the same way Christian McCaffrey's doing, but a lot of guys can do that. Shanahan hasn't had the threat of McCaffrey all season, so it's easy to understand why he'd spam targets to CMC against the Bucs defense. The only thing I'd say about that, if he does that, and thanks for the article there, Kyle Posey, if he does that, I do feel like the beating wide receivers take is often a lot less than running backs. So, yeah, I love him. I love him in the flat. I love him in a slot. I love him in some situations where you're throwing down, checking down, or throwing to your running back by design, and you're putting screen situations. Like, there are a lot of situations that could work out really nicely for Christian McCaffrey getting the ball without having to have him run it straight up the gut. So we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. I look forward to seeing your comments and seeing your takes, of course. As always, I'm feeling stoked about it. I can't wait for football. Like, coming into the week, it was like, hey, it's kind of nice to have a weekend where, like, I'm kind of stress-free watching these games here. And then, like, by Monday or maybe even Sunday night, it's like, I'd really like to be watching the Niners right now. So I'm excited for that. What a time to be alive.